We're rolling along here on a Monday. It is the Vegas Take coming your way, 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN here in Las Vegas. I'm Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro as well as JD. We've been talking with Pat Casale. He's a prominent Nevada Republican, very part of the Nevada Republican Party. Also an outstanding host of America Today. You can catch it here on 720 AM, 101.5 FM KDWN on Fridays from 9 to 10. They discuss a number of topics. They had a chance to talk about the fallout of Democratic socialist agenda, I will say, and they also talk a lot about the Democrats and about healthcare, which is, by the way, Pat Casale, that's his wheelhouse, is healthcare, right? Pat, I'm not out of line by saying that. I think that's a topic that you're.
That is definitely my wheelhouse. In fact, I'll be studying the Medicare for All bill that they have out there, which is an absolute joke, but that's a whole other story. It's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
But everything you said, it was quite compelling. I mean, I don't think Manafort should not go to jail. I think 47 months was fair, so do you know that? I think Flynn should get pardoned. I think he got railroaded and he served his country like a gentleman.
So, but in all fairness, though, your position on this is you think there's hypocrisy here of the left not being look, they're going to be all kinds of fired up to make sure justice isn't done, whether it's Michael Flynn, whether it's Michael Cohen, obviously Paul Manafort. But you of course, brought up New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio and his wife and the misplacement of, I believe it was like $850 million. I have to be completely honest with you. I'm not all wired in as to what exactly details are with that, and was not aware that that's something that's on the front burner when it comes to American politics. I have to be honest. I didn't think it was. But
well, here's what I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Everything you painted a wonderful picture, and you know what? It was definitely objective. I mean, left leaning, right now, it was pretty clear. Here's my issue.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be the first one to tell you. I mean, through his past dealings, Manafort is a businessman. He's a lobbyist. He's making moves for foreign positions. I mean, it's the same thing with the Podestas, who, by the way, he was partners with on certain deals. The Podestas, if you know, were part of the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Right.
So the thing that has me is that the lack of continuity across the board. I mean, you want to look at integrity. You want to check out people's taxes and to see what they're doing. I mean, to be honest with you, he filed taxes. It's not like he didn't pay income tax, but a lot of people shade their tax returns. They do different things to try not to have to pay. I mean, I'm not sitting there. I am not copying a plea, but I'm just saying he is not a murderer. He didn't kill anybody. And all these politicians, all they do is line their pockets with money. Now, you make a good point. He's already been in jail for 9 months. He's looking at possibly another 38 months tops if he does the full 47. The question is, what will he get hit with this next hit? And will it be another 5 years on top of it? Which, when you're talking to a guy 70 years old, that's a life sentence, 5 to 7 years. I mean, I had a friend of mine who went to jail because he thought he was wearing a badge. He thought, oh, this is great. I'll go to jail. I'm going to be honorable. You're a moron. Going to prison, stupid. And he was not a dirty player. The difference between Cohen and Manafort is Cohen was looking at some serious issues with regard to medallions. He owned a lot of them. I mean, he did a lot of really creative financing, where Manafort, again, I think they went after Manafort because he was associated with the president. They were hoping to nail him for Russian collusion. And apparently there's nothing there for Russian collusion. Now, I don't think the Russians and the president were business partners, and that's why he got elected. And I just never thought that from the beginning. Because you, as well as I, know that if something like that were to be found, that would have been out months ago, years ago, when it first happened. So the reality is this is all about punishing Trump. And if you look at what Nadler's doing and what the Democrats are trying to do, and now today Schiff's coming out saying the president needs to testify. This is not your investigation, Adam Schiff. And if you want to look deeper, Adam Schiff's is related to George Soros through marriage. I mean, it's like as the world turns in the United States, as Washington, D.C. turns, it's an amazing thing. I think we've had this conversation on Facebook. If you close your eyes, just close your eyes, and you listen carefully to what has been accomplished in 2 years, it's pretty amazing.
Well, we look, we can get into a whole show about that. What I'm specifically kind of zeroing in on is Manafort, Flynn, and the possibility of pardons. And we are getting into kind of what Manafort's about. Look, I don't know if you had the opportunity to see the documentary "Get Me Roger Stone." Have you had a chance to see that yet, Pat? It goes into detail.
You know what? Roger Stone's a whole.
No. The reason I'm bringing that up is because Paul Manafort and Roger Stone they were part of an organization, for years back in the '80s, where they basically there was a lot of they were working with a lot of people that I think it's safe to say were unsavory. Right? We're talking about dictators, murderous dictators. We're talking about people not just in the United States. We're talking about people obviously not in the United States. I'm talking about leaders of other countries. But the business that they were in wasn't exactly savory. It's not something that
I agree.
The American people would not think is a proud business.
Manafort made.
So
let me tell you, right? If you really look at, if you break it down, forget about Republican or Democrat. The fact that at one point insider trading was allowed in Washington D.C.
Yes.
But if you or I did it, if I had a security license and I insider traded, not only would I get penalized, I'd lose my license. I could go to jail. Yet politicians did it all along. I mean, when you look at, if you go back the last 30, I don't know how old you are. I'm 58 years old. You go back to when I'm 21, the last 37 years, to say the word honest politician is an oxymoron. It doesn't work. It's not viable. If you look at what these people go into the White House, if you look at what the Clintons were worth going into the White House and what they're worth now in Obama,
yes.
The Bush family, if you really think Dick Cheney was vice president, he was the president. I mean, look at the things he did. Look at the people that our American boys and girls that served this country and died for a leadership that really just worried about how much money they can line their pockets with. The Bush family has aqua reserves in South America. I mean, if you really want to get down to down to brass tacks, that's why they don't like Trump. Trump doesn't need them, and what he's doing is he's cutting into their pockets. Personally, if you look at Pelosi's her father was a mob guy. Did you know that?
Yes, I knew that. And
you also know Pelosi made all their money as a fundraiser on her commission, and they owed her. That's one of the reasons why they gave her a chance to run for office and make all the money she's made. I mean, how much? Again, this is not about Nancy Pelosi, just in general. When you look at all these politicians and what they're worth, you got to ask yourself a question. Why would so many of these politicians worth so much money want to be in office? What's in it for them? And it's scary. Chris, I swear to God, when you look at the amount of money some of these people are worth, Republican or Democrat alike, and some of the things that they do, you got to say to yourself, why? Why would you do it?
Well, I get it. Look, and I get it, okay? There's people out there that do bad things. There's politicians out there that are crooked. I understand that. That doesn't excuse what Paul Manafort did. That doesn't excuse what Michael Flynn did. That doesn't excuse what Michael Cohen is going to prison for, right? There's reasons why
Manafort should go to jail.
I mean, you're talking about with Paul Manafort, you're talking about tax fraud. You're talking about money laundering, failure to report foreign bank accounts. You're talking about not registering as a foreign agent. These are things that people go to prison for. Okay, I
agree,
and he's going to prison. So I mean, I understand what you're saying, Pat, when you're bringing up whether it doesn't matter if they're Democrats, Republicans, or whatever. You're bringing up a lot of corruption and fraud in the past, and things that, and quite frankly, things that some of these politicians haven't been convicted of, or it hasn't proven that they did it.
You know what was funny? They compared this guy, the Judge Ellis, when he's being called out by the left because he threw the book at a politician, a man who was elected, and they found money that he was getting paid in his refrigerator freezer. I mean, this was an outright guy. Here's a guy who swore to uphold the law and defend the United States.
Yep.
And he's a thief. See, you can't compare him to Manafort. Now, I'll go a step further. Manafort's 47 months right now is not a big deal. We'll see what happens with the second sentencing.
Yes.
Then if if he ends up with 10 years, it's a death sentence for the most part. Even if he gets out 7 years early time, he's 77 years old. But where's he going to do? As far as Cohen, if he gets hit for another perjury charge, let's say he does 10 years himself, he's still a young man. Michael Flynn served this country as a gentleman, as a hero, and he got railroaded by the FBI because they were trying to make a case. And I honestly believe that Michael Flynn should be pardoned and should walk because he's a gentleman. I don't think he's a bad person. Every person who's ever talked about Michael Flynn, nobody said a bad thing about him. And personally, I don't know him. Never had the privilege of meeting him specifically. But what I can tell you is everybody's talking about how they bent the rules and lied to him to back him into a corner. They busted him financially. They threatened to put his kids in jail. So he took a plea deal, which he's going to probably back away from. Him, I give him a part. He served the United States like a gentleman. He served his country, made sure we were safe. He's a good guy. Manafort goes to jail. I don't think he's going to get a pardon, and I'll tell you the reason why. If Trump was in his last, if Trump was in his last week as president, maybe he will. But now, no. If Trump were to pardon him in the last week of his presidency, it's one thing. But if he gets reelected, which is very possible, never happened. Paul Manafort will do his 47 months. It all depends on the additional charges that are going to come after him. And, that's the truth. And as far as Cohen's concerned, there's nothing, from my experience of meeting people, Michael Cohen is a dog. He is, how he was even in the position to be the president of the United States attorney in private business is also questionable. But when you're living in New York and when you work in the business that Trump was in, I'm sure he knew, and I'm not making any claims, but I'm sure he knew a lot of gentlemen in the industry of organized crime, because you couldn't build buildings in New York without having to deal with people. I mean, we all know the stories where the mafia was getting $1 or whatever it was for every window being put in a building in New York City. Yep. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, overall, Trump, if Trump wasn't a tweeter, and again, you wonder what would happen if people
that's kind of funny. You got to admit, Pat, that is funny when you say if he wasn't a tweeter, because that is what gets him in trouble so many times.
Exactly.
Is that the guy is not afraid to put the fingers to the phone, my friend, and jump on there and get people fired up.
He never. You know what? Most politicians hear the questions.
Uh-huh.
And before they respond, they're either seasoned enough, not to answer the question, or look at them and move on.
Yep.
Trump answered too many questions. There are times where he makes a mistake, and he just keeps going on and on and on. And that's just because he's not diplomatic and he's not a politician. He's not cut from the same cloth as what we've seen over the years. But when you look at all these people, I mean, in all honesty, when you listen to these people speak, you got to say to yourself, wow, is this the best? When you look at the presidents, the candidates for the Republicans in 2016 and the Democrats, you and I can both make this statement and agree 100%. Is this the best we have in the United States? And when you look at what's about to run right now, is this the best that we have in the United States? I mean,
well, we don't have everybody yet. Well, we all, hey, Pat, you know the big elephant in the room right now. You know who it is. You know who the guy is going to be at the top. In about a week and a half or 2 weeks. You know who it's going to be.
And right? I'm going to tell you, I don't think Biden can win. And I'll tell you why. Honestly, and I'll tell you what I think it's against him more than anything else.
Well, you're not going to think he can win because you're Republican. You're not going to. You don't expect him to.
No.
You don't expect him to.
That's where you and I disagree.
Well, let's be honest though. You don't expect him to because
Bloomberg or the gentleman from the Starbucks, they were talking legitimately. They sounded very, very presidential. But both of those gentlemen I would consider. Schultz, I think his name is. But
Howard Schultz.
Well, Biden is 80 years old. I mean, that's the real problem. I mean, you listen to these socialists about giving away everything. I mean, you and I'm older than you, but our future is in jeopardy if these idiots continue to proceed with giving away the farm. I mean, we're not there yet, Pat. Look, I get it. I get it. You got the AOCs, you got the Omars who they're very active on, but they're freshman representatives. I don't think either one of them get reelected. How about that one?
I could see that happening, but the point I'm trying to make is that these people haven't done anything yet. They're brand spanking new, and I don't understand why some on there are some Republicans out there and people on the right that want to make it out to be like they're the heads of the party, right? They're the ones pushing the buttons and running the show. That's not the case. I mean, I'm
not a McConnell fan. I tell you right now, I'm not a McConnell fan. Never have been.
I could see that. Hey Pat, I've got some other phone calls I got to get to. I really do appreciate you calling in, though. It's great stuff. I'll hit you with my email, and you host a great show, by the way. America Today. Check it out, 9 to 10 on Fridays, right, Pat? And
yes, it is. Thank you again. It's
a great chance, and I appreciate the phone call. And well, Pat and I, we go way back. We're talking about almost a decade. We used to do sports radio together here in this town. So, Pat, come strong. I appreciate it. Thanks for the phone call, Pat.
My pleasure. You take care.
Yeah, Pat Casale. He's a host here on KDWN does a great job with that show, America Today, on Fridays. And look, we are ideologically we're very different. Okay, I'm not a hardcore left-handed lefty liberal, but I would say I'm around a progressive, more of a center progressive type of person. Someone who, when it comes to social issues, there's no question that I lean left. Economically, I can be molded in a different direction. Full disclosure, I'm someone was apolitical up until about 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's just in the recent atmosphere of American politics, I've gotten a little bit more involved. So 702-257-5396 is the phone line. Give us a call. Your thoughts on these pardon possibilities. Also, what you expect President Trump to do if he's going to show some leniency when it comes to either Paul Manafort or Michael Flynn or Michael Cohen or anybody else that's in his circle that could have some legal exposure here. Because that the fact remains, no matter how much anybody wants to talk about Democrats doing things wrong or corruption overall in politics, we get it. We know. There's corruption all over the place. There's been, the politicians lie. It's just that here in the past 2 to 3 years, with the Trump administration being in office and Donald Trump being at the helm, it has been just exploded. Okay? And look, there's numerous examples of it. I don't need to get into every single lie that the president's told, mistruth, something that's not factual, however you want to describe it. Okay? Because it's been out there. And it's not fake news. Okay? It's not, and it's not just because, the president and his supporters and those in the GOP that support the president think that it's fake news doesn't make it fake news. And that's a term I hate using, by the way. You don't hear, what's funny? You don't hear a lot of people other than the GOP or Trump supporters who are in the GOP or just basically Trump supporters. You never hear anybody else but Trump supporters use that term or use it in a sentence or try to make the case that there is this epidemic of fake news out there, right? And because it's a misrepresentation of what actually is going on. And I'll give you an example, and I'll tell you why. Fake news is something that's clearly defined, right? It's meant to deceive. It's something that's put out there that's not true. You're trying to either influence people or you're trying to, you're basically trying to set up a narrative that's not factual, okay? It's done on the internet, other platforms possibly. I'll tell you what fake news is not, okay? It's not ABC. It's not CBS. It's not NBC. It's not MSNBC. It's not even fake. It's not even Fox News. And it's definitely not CNN, okay? And the reason I say that is this. Up until 2.5 or 3 years ago, did we even talk about fake news? Do we say, when we were watching CNN or MSNBC before the Trump era, did we mention how these networks, they're all, there is a great possibility that there are fake news stories out there and they're being put on these networks. And there's purposely false information that's being spewed through your television from either CNN or MSNBC or the major networks, ABC, CBS, NBC. Was that the case before the Donald Trump era? No, I'll tell you that's not the case. It was not the case, okay? We thought they were credible. We even thought, look, America as a whole, for the most part, I'm not talking about everybody, but I'm saying for the most part, we thought of them as reputable news organizations. And we thought that way about Fox News as well, too. Fox News, we thought it also. And let me tell you something. Okay, for the the handful of people who are on the left that listen to the station and listen to the show, Fox News, there are some credible journalists at Fox News. People will talk about Chris Wallace. They'll talk about Shepard Smith. They'll talk about Martha McCallum. They'll talk about Brett Baer. There are people at Fox News that are journalists. Okay, there is a difference between those people and the commentators. Okay. You can use whatever description of him you want. People who do have an agenda. People who do say things that are meant to influence or are meant to create a certain narrative. All right. And you know exactly who I'm talking about, whether it's Sean Hannity, whether, of course, as a show here, you're talking about whether it's Laura Ingraham, whether it's Tucker Carlson, who's, engulfed in kind of obviously a controversy here in the last couple of days, whether it's over on MSNBC with Chris Matthews or Rachel Maddow. Okay. Chris Matthews obviously comes from a journalistic background, but he has shifted. And he's turned into someone who is not, going down the hard news avenue, so to speak. He's someone who has decided to go into the commentary business. And so those shows that you see on MSNBC and on Fox News, after 4 p.m. Eastern time, a lot of those shows are driven by opinion. They're opinion-based shows. And they stir up controversy, and people talk about, the influence they have. Obviously, Sean Hannity's become one of those guys because of his proximity to the president. He's been talked about as one of those people that are influential in the White House. So, and it kind of circles back to what I'm talking about. This whole fake news thing, to me, is a mirage. It's not real. Okay, I when I hear people talk, and it's always Trump supporters, by the way. It's never Democrat. You never hear Democrats or progressive people say, "Oh yeah, that's fake news." Okay, or what that story, that's fake news. You never hear it. It's always Trump supporters when something is said that they don't like about the president or somebody in the president's sphere. They're the ones that bring up fake news, and the reason they bring it up is because it's meant to dismiss. It's meant to say, "Oh, they have an agenda, so we're going to tie that to under the big bubble of stuff that's you shouldn't believe." Okay, you shouldn't be anywhere near that. And so we can kind of get into this on the other side of the break. I want your phone call, 702-257-5396. We're talking about the possibilities of pardons. I also want to get into the weekend that was with President Trump as he spent time down in the South. And I'm going to be positive and negative with respect to the president on a couple of angles. 702-257-5396 is the phone number. At the bottom of the second hour, we're going to be talking with Mike Miller, former NBA player, also college great at the University of Florida. It's obviously March Madness time, so we got college hoop tournaments in full swing. And here in Las Vegas, we've got the Pac-12, we've got the WAC, we have the WCC, as well as the Mountain West going on, both women's and men's. So we'll talk some basketball as well, too. 257-5396 is the phone number. You're tuned to the Vegas Take on a Monday. I'm Chris Wynn, in for Brian Shapiro, as well as JD. Come back in just a moment.